All right, so it's 6 p.m., so let's get started. Uh, so first, everybody just open up Autodesk Fusion 360. And so basically, while you do that, I'm gonna go over today's agenda. So basically, what we're going to do is we're just going to make one or two things. So depending on how much time we have left. So we're gonna make something called a Hexisphericon, which is just a rolling toy that like just rolls like interestingly. Um, and it's a somewhat complex design to make, so that's what we're gonna make today. And so uh, it should take most of our time today. And then if we finish that, then I have something else planned in case we finish it. So the other thing I want to go over is, so last time somebody had some extrusion problems, and so I did some research. So if you want to make sure that when you open up a new like project, you want to make sure you're working in the solid workspace. If you go to Surface or sheet metal or something else, like for example Surface, you can still create sketches and like do everything I show you guys in class. But when you like, for example, extrude, you create some really weird things like with huge holes in them, and you actually can't like it's just the outer surface. It's not like you can't actually cut into these. So just make sure that when you're working on anything, you're working in the solid workspace, not the surface workspace. Um, so now um yeah, okay, let's get started. So after opening your new design, you can Control S or just click File and then Save, and save it into where you want to. So in this case, I just have the CAD class, and then we're gonna call this Hexisphericon because that's what we're going to be making today. It's called a Hexisphericon. And so then we can click save. And then as we always do, you always want to start after you save your project, you always want to right click on the name under the browser and then click on new component. And then you can just name it just Hexisphericon. Again, don't really need to be really creative in the naming. And then we get started. Okay, so basically, as said last time, what we do is we draw a 2D shape and then bring it into 3D. So we're just gonna click create a sketch so that we can draw our 2D shape. So because it's a hexasphericon, it's basically a hexagon uh, and then we use the Revolve tool and revolve it, and then we kind of slice it in half and rotate it around. So I'll show you how to do that. So first we want to draw a hexagon. So we just go to create and then polygon, and then we do inscribed polygon. And so we click on this, and then we can draw a hexagon basically. It automatically does hexagon. You can also do like objects with different numbers of sides, like a pentagon here, or something else. But we're gonna do a hexagon, so it's already the correct like number of sides. And then we're gonna do 50. We're gonna make it have a radius, or since it's inscribed in the circle will have a radius of 50 millimeters. Or you can make yours a different size, but this is just the size I'm going to make mine. And then the next thing we do, since we're going to revolve it, we need to draw a line down the center of the hexagon to revolve it around the center axis. And so then after we have drawn a line just by clicking on the line tool, we can just click on finish sketch, and then we have a sketch of a hexagon with a line through it. Um, so does anybody have any questions so far? Like, does has everybody like gotten to this point, basically? All right, it sounds like it. Okay, so I mean, nobody's saying anything, so I'm just gonna assume you all are at this point already. So next, we're going to use the Revolve tool. So the Extrude tool basically brings the 2D sketch straight out, and the Revolve tool brings it out in like a circle, just um, like this, like kind of. So basically we can take this flat image and then bring it out around the center axes of the hexagon, and it will just rotate that 2D image around the axes that we choose. And we basically create this kind of like hexagon rolling thing. And then so what we're going to do is rather than rotate it all around 360 degrees, we're only going to go halfway, so 180 degrees, and create like a half shape. And then we can click OK, and then we now have one side of the Hexisphericon. And then next we can, so if you see this star next to the name of your file, it means your thing is unsafe. So you can just click Control S, and then it will give you this like version description, and you can like describe like what you've done. Like you've created this half of it, but usually I'll just click OK. I'm too lazy to name it. And unless you want to go back and like get an older version, you don't really need to name each version and um, keep that part super well organized. So basically, the next thing we're gonna do is how we build a Hexisphericon is basically take this this side, and then we basically mirror it to the other side, then rotate it by 60 degrees. And so that's just what we're gonna do. So we're gonna do next is we're gonna click on create, and then there's a tool called mirror. And so we're gonna click on that. And then so then we can just click on this and then mirror it. So the other thing we want to make sure is in the mirror tool, we want to make sure it says features so that we can click on the entire thing and it highlights the entire thing. Then we can select the mirror plane and we can select the face of the this half. And then you can just see that we just created another half of it. And then if we click OK, it just has two halves. But the difference between just revolving it 360 degrees and mirroring it is now you can see we have two different bodies. So we can basically work on one of them at a time, each of them at a time, and we can rotate like either of them around. So in this case, we're just going to take body tool 2. We're going to right click on it. And then it's going to say move/copy. And so we're just going to click on that. Or you can just press the keyboard letter M. And then we're going to click on rotate. And then for the axes, so we want to rotate it around the center of the Hexisphericon. So how we're going to do that is we're just going to show the origin, and then the origin, and then one of the axes on the origin is just in the center. So if we zoom out, the axes will come out, and then we can just click on that. And then we can change the angle to 60 degrees. And we've rotated it, and we've basically already created a Hexisphericon. So does anybody have any questions so far, or like, is everybody at this point so far?
How to select the axis?
So to make the axis appear, you need to click on the eye thing next to origin. So it will show the 3 axes of the origin. And then you can zoom out, and then the line will appear, and then you can just click on the line. So you can see that when you hover over it, it will turn blue, and then you can just click on it, and then it will show the axes. And then you can change the angle to 60 degrees and rotate.
How to zoom out?
You can just, if you're using a mouse, you can just scroll out or scroll in. If you're not, you might need to just click this zoom button and then drag it up or down. And then if you want to unclick it, you just like click somewhere else. Let me see. Yeah, you just click on the object or something, and then you click the zoom button. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Can you do the mirror thing again?
Okay, so all right, let me just go back. So basically for the mirror, so after you've created the object, you go to create. So under the solid workspace, you go to create, and then under pattern, there's mirror, and then make sure you change the type to features, and then you can select just the first body that we've created as your object. And then for the mirror plane, so you just click here to select a mirror plane, just the select part, and then you just select the face of the first body that we've created, and then you click OK. And then since I've already created it, I'm just gonna press cancel. And then to move it, you just right click on the body and then do move/copy, and then rotate, and then make the origin show, and then click on the axis at the center of the Hexisphericon, and then change the angle to 60 degrees. So then now we basically have a Hexisphericon. So does anybody have any other questions?
You disabled the chat.
Okay. Well, I'm not the host, so I don't know how to like. I was like working on
We could,
disabling. So
we could allow chat, but please chat only things that's relevant to class.
all right. I'll just keep working. Continue on.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
My like Fusion 360 just loaded. It was really slow. And how did you make like the hexagon?
So first if you go to, I'm just gonna okay this. Okay, so first you start with like you go to create sketch, and then you just click on this like square like plus button thing at the top. It's called create sketch, and then so you would basically get a plane without what I've drawn here, and then you're gonna go into create, and then to polygon, and then an inscribed polygon, and then you're just gonna draw a hexagon with whatever radius you want. In this case, I chose 50 millimeters. And then you're just going to, and then after you've drawn it, then you're just gonna draw a line from a corner to another corner to slice the hexagon in half so that you can do the revolve, use the revolve tool.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So does anybody else have any other questions? No, okay, so we're gonna continue on then. So the next thing they did is they basically made the inside, like there's like a curve on the inside. So that's, I guess, what we're gonna do next. So how we can do this is, so this would technically just work as a Hexisphericon, like you can just export this and then maybe glue the two, and then print it and then glue the two halves together, and then you can create that, but can make a few more things to make it look cooler, and then also optimize how how we put it together in the end. So first, to make it look the way they made it look here, how we're gonna do that is we're just going to go to create sketch, and then so we can just click on the first sketch at the bottom of the design history, and we can just look at it here. And then the next thing we can do is first we can round off all the corners of the hexagon. So how we're going to do that is we're going to use the Fillet tool, which is this rounding tool. So you can click on this, and then if you hover over like the corner of any corner, it will automatically round it. And then you can change the amount like it rounds it. So in this case, we're just going to go with its default value of 10 because that's works pretty good. And then you can just do that to all the corners. And then for these two corners that if you hover over the corner, you won't get anything. So what you do is you click on a line on one side and then you click on the line on the other side, and then you can get a corner, and you can do the same with this one. And then now we've rounded off the corners. So if we finish sketch, you just get just rounded corners. And then continuing on, so go back into the sketch. The next thing you can do, yeah.
Can you do that again? Thanks.
You just click fillet. So at the top of, first you go to your design history and click this first sketch that we made. And then you can click this fillet tool and just hover over every corner. So here. So yeah, you can just hover over each corner, and then when there's like a red or whatever color that is line that shows up, after hovering over the corner, you can just click on it and it will automatically like round off the corner. And then you can do that for every single corner. And then for these two corners that have like a line in between them, what you have to do is you have to click on one line on one side of the hexagon, and then click on the other adjacent like side that creates the corner. And then you have to do that on both of them, and then you can round off all the corners.
It doesn't give me a fillet option. I see
So
the
then
bottom
if
one.
it doesn't have it at the top, you can click on modify, and then you can it should be in these options, like if it doesn't have it at the top.
Yeah, I see the button, but when I click on it, it doesn't allow me to click on the hexagon.
Okay. Like, so basically if after you click on this, you can't like drag your mouse over the hexagon.
Yeah, the hexagon goes translucent and unclickable.
Oh, okay. So did you like create a new sketch, or do you went to design history, right?
I clicked on design history.
Okay. Never seen that problem before. So I have no idea what went wrong there. You can try maybe just drawing your hexagon again, and then doing it on the newly drawn hexagon, because we'll go over how to like make it appear again later. So just try drawing your hexagon again, and then doing it on that. All right, if you guys weren't able to follow along with the revolve and everything else we did at the start, just start from where we are right now. Draw a hexagon, and then draw a line from corner to corner, and then just round off all the corners on the hexagon. And then just follow along what I do, because if we just do the rounded corners, we just have two hexagons with round corners. Okay. So let me just make sure these corners are okay. And then so what we're going to do next is after you round off all the corners, what we're gonna do next is to create like a cut through that part of the Hexisphericon. So what we're going to do is we're first going to draw a construction line. So a construction line is basically like a reference line we can use to help us draw other lines. So what we do is what the line we want to draw is just a line down the center, from the center of a side, and it should, like, if you click on it, it should like automatic, there should be like a triangle next, like, and it should, like, if you get move close to it, it should automatically like hover over the center point of the edge, and there's a triangle next to it, and you can just click there and then drag the line to the center of the hexagon. And then what we do next is you can either right click and then make it a construction line. So right click and then do normal / construction, or you can just, as you can see, there's like a X here. That means you can just click on it and then just type X, like press the key X on your keyboard, and then it will just turn into like a dotted line. So that way it doesn't like interfere with anything else later on. So then to create a line, you just click on this or press the key L. And then so after we create this first construction line, next we're going to create another line. So we're just going to hover over the edge of the hexagon till we get to the edge of this fillet thing, and you can see it will like automatically turn into like a square if we hover over that the end part of the fillet, like the part of the fillet thing we just did. So then you can just drag it in, drag it over. And then if you see these, the two light blue lines that show up at some angle, like see here, you can see at the center of this line, like right there, there was like two light blue lines, and that basically just means it's parallel. So what we want to do is we want to draw a parallel line, like parallel to the center line from corner to corner that we drew earlier. We want to draw a parallel line down to this first construction line that we drew. And then that basically just, yeah, that basically makes sure we have like straight lines down the center. And then we can do that with, and then we can just draw from the point that this line ends to the another like end of a fillet like tool thing that we did. And then we can also draw another line to the center of a fillet thing. And then basically we have like one part of the star shape, and we can basically cut out the part that they did in the, like how they did in the video. So the next thing we want to do is we want to, don't exit your sketch yet, because we only drew it for one side, and we need to draw it for all the sides. So rather than just drawing a bunch of lines, you can do that, and you can like continue on drawing another line from there to there, and then doing it on each side. And you can just do that, but a much easier way is to go to create and then click on circular pattern. And basically what you can do is you can click on all these lines that we use to create this like cutting shape. And then we can click on the center of this, and then we can, those are our 4 objects, and then we can use center point. So we click on the center of the hexagon, and then we can draw, and then we can say 6 of them, since the hexagon has 6 sides, and then it automatically draws all the lines we need to cut the hexagon. And so then we can just click OK, and we have all the lines we need for the Hexisphericon. And so next we can just click finish sketch. So does anybody have any questions at this point?
How did you do like what you just did, like the first
So
step?
you go to create, and then you go down to circular pattern, and then you click on that. And then you click on all the lines used to create this thing we just did. So these 4 lines. And then the center point will just be the center of the hexagon. So we select this, and then you can just click on this highlighted text, or if it's already highlighted, you can just type in how many sides you want, or you can drag this arrow and you can draw like as many as you want. But it's easier to just type in the number you want. We'll go over the Revolve tool after this again. But basically, the other thing is someone asked is how to create construction lines. So you can just select a line and then type X and it'll turn it into a construction line. All right, so then after we've done this, we can click finish sketch. And so basically, even though we drew like all the star pattern, like the cuts into the object, it doesn't actually show on the final thing. So what we need to do now is we need to click on the revolve. So the part that didn't change is the revolve part. So we need to double click on that. And then it will enter into this. And then what we can do now is we can hold down the control key on your computer, and it will just show the sketch. And then we can click on all these 3 triangle parts that we don't want, and it will basically create the cuts that we just did. And then you have the Hexisphericon looking like this now. So we created the cuts, and then now we're just gonna like fill it in. And if you're following along before that, like if you didn't do the steps before, so if you just want to revolve around here, so we have this sketch. Let me make it appear first. So basically, if you want to revolve it right now, if you didn't revolve it earlier, you just click on revolve. And then for the profile, you click, and then you press Control, and then click on these 3 V things. And then for the axis, you just click the center line, and then you can revolve half of it, and then do the mirroring and moving. But all right, so okay, so if the sketch disappears when you click revolve, then you should probably go open up and go down to sketches and click on the eye thing to make sure that the sketch is still there. And then so the next thing we can do is we're gonna go back into sketch. It's a bit repetitive, the steps, but we're just gonna go back into sketch. And now we're gonna draw a huge circle at the center of the sketch. So we're just gonna go back to design history in the first sketch, and we're just gonna draw a huge circle. So the circle just needs to be, we're just gonna put it at like 60 millimeters in diameter. And then basically what that will do is just draw a circle, and then we can just click finish sketch again. The center circle buttons here, and then you just click on the center of the hexagon. And then now we can go back to revolve again, and then we can control and then click on the circle parts of it, and that'll just give us a sphere at the center. And so what drawing this sphere at the center allows us to do is it fills in the area, and it'll allow us to smoothen these like edge parts, so that we can make it look like more like that. Okay, so how we're going to smoothen these edges is we're going to use the fillet tool. So what you want to do is you want to click on fillet, and then you want to select all these like edges on the inside of the object. So you're just going to click on them all, and then So it's gonna take a bit, but you just want to make sure you click on them all, or else it might like give you like an error message. So all right, so I think I got all of them. So now what you can do is you can either drag the arrow, and then you can see that now it just connects all the edges, and now you have like a smooth, and then you can drag it around depending on how much you want to do it, but now you can like how much of the space you want to fill up. That's by your preference. But now you can see it that it creates like a smooth like inner uh, layer, and then so I'm just gonna do it at the minimum, so that's like 40, and then enter. So someone asked how to make the sphere. So basically, you go back to create sketch, and then what you do next to create a sphere is what you had to do was just use center diameter circle, put it at the center of the hexagon so far, and then just draw a circle, and then you can create and then after you have the circle in the sketch, you can go back to your Revolve tool, and then you can select the edges of the circle to create the sphere. So that's how you create a sphere. And then after that, you can use the fillet, and you can fill in the area. So you need to, okay, so when you select over here, you want to make sure you press the control key and select it, or else if you just click on it, it's not going to work. So you need to make sure you're pressing the control key on your keyboard, or command key if you use a Mac, I think. And then, so the next thing we're gonna do is, we're just gonna make it easier for if you 3D print it, and we're also gonna go over some more stuff with fillet and chamfer through this. And because if you just print like two flat halves, which is completely fine, and it's gonna be like, if you glue them together, they're not gonna be glued on very well. So the next thing is we're just gonna create like a connecting piece between them. So what we're going to do is we're just going to cut a hole into each of them, and we're just going to cut a hexagon shaped hole. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make one of them disappear, one side disappear. You can choose either side. So how you do that is you go to bodies. So you can like click on the arrow and it shows bodies, and then click on the eye and then make like the top one disappear. And then you want to now create a sketch on the face of that one of them, and then you want to create and then you want to just click on polygon again, because we're going to create a rectangular center, and then a hexagon center, and then you can make it however big you want. We're just going to make it 20. And then we're gonna fillet this hexagon again. So basically how we do that, again, just a reminder, just go click on the fillet tool at the top, or modify and then fillet if it's not at the top, and then hover over the corner of a hexagon, and you'll see that a red line appears like here. Like okay, it's not working. Yeah, here, okay. You can see that a red line appears, and then you can and then if the red line appears, you can just click, just do a mouse click, and then it will automatically fillet it, and then you can adjust like how far it fillets, and then you can do that with all the edges of the hexagon. Okay, and then you can finish your hexagon sketch. And then okay, someone asked how do we fillet their Okay. So someone asked, how did we fillet this thing, I'm guessing? So basically, to fillet this thing, we just select all the inner edges like uh, this. So first, you can select them one by one before you fillet and then use the fillet button, but that you need to press shift click or control click every time. So what you first want to do here is just click on the fillet and then just select all the internal edges one by one. And then I don't think there's a better way to do this. You just have to select each one individually. So yeah, and then you can fillet it and you can like adjust the fillet amount till it's like smooth and stuff. All right, and then so we're gonna continue on with this sketch. So next, what we're gonna do is after we've finished this sketch, we're just gonna cut into the center. And so we're just gonna create a hole, and then we can do like however deep you want, as long as it doesn't like it doesn't make the material too thin and cut like through to the other side. So 20 uh millimeters should be good. um and then we can just and then what we can do now is we can basically go to sketches and then we can make the sketch reappear, because usually after you extrude with the sketch, it disappears. So we can go to sketches and then we can click on this eye thing of the second sketch, and then we have the sketch reappeared, and then we can also make the other side reappear. So now we just have this sketch on the other side of the Hexisphericon, so we don't have to like draw it again, and also it's like perfectly aligned. So then we can just extrude and cut into this other side too. So -20, okay, actually 20, and then it'll cut through it. And then we can make the sketch disappear. And then basically we've cut through both halves of the Hexisphericon. So now we can create like a connector for both sides. So basically how we're going to do this is we're just going to have one side of the Hexisphericon show. And then we're just going to click on the face of the Hexisphericon, and then we're just going to create a sketch. We're gonna then do polygon again, and then an inscribed polygon, and then we're gonna make it a little bit smaller than 20 millimeters, because we need some clearance, because if you make it the exact same, it's probably not gonna fit very well together. So we're gonna make it size of 19.7, so just 0.3 millimeters less, and then make sure it's like aligned. And then what we do next is we again fillet this hexagon, so by 5 again, and then we just do it for all sides. And then we've drawn the sketch for the inner object. And then what we can do now is we can extrude it 20 to create, or we can extrude it by -19.7 to create like an internal like hexagon thing. And then that way we have something to connect both halves with. So someone says they're still on the sphere step. So a bit behind, but basically if you're still on the sphere step, what you want to do is you want to fillet all the edges of the so you want to select all the internal edges and then fillet it by however much you want to. Like you can drag the arrow around and you can make it bigger or smaller until it's smooth. And then you just if to select the edges, you just click on the Fillet tool, and then you just click on the edges one by one. Like if you highlight over it, it should show up as like, yeah, it should like, there should be like some white highlight around it, and then you can click on it And if you like bring your cursor away, it will show up as like light blue. And then you can do that with all the edges. And then you can fillet them. And you have to do all of them at the same time. All right, does anybody have any other questions so far?
I don't remember.
All right. No? Okay, I'll just continue on. So next, we're just gonna do some other tricks to make this easier, like to print and like to like attach together. So the next thing I'm gonna show you guys is something called chamfer. So basically, fillet makes it a round corner edge, and what chamfer does is chamfer makes it like a chamfer makes it like you cut it like off a cut edge. So we can make it like 5 or 2. So I'm just gonna do like 3 millimeters, and you can just chamfer the side. And then the other trick, so with filleting and chamfering, yeah, okay, someone asked, will there be a recording? Yes, there will be a recording after we're done. But for filleting and chamfering, another trick you can use to select, if you don't want to like select each like edge individually and then just like fillet or chamfer them all, what you can do is you can select the face and then you can click chamfer, and then you can also like do all the edges of the face. So then we just chamfer both sides, and then we can also do the same to the inside of this. And we can't select the face for this because it will also do these outer edges too, which we don't want. So we can just do chamfer and then just select, and then do like 3. And basically what this does is it gives like a kind of guide to, so when if we were going to attach it to print it and then attach everything together, it's like, there's basically a guide for the connecting part of it to come in. And so then we can just do this for all the sides. And then another thing we can do is you can also go back to this inner connector thing, and then you can cut a hole through it because you don't really need it to be completely solid. So you can do an inscribed hexagon, and then you can make it like size like 15, and then you can just finish sketch and then extrude the hexagon, drawn hexagon through it, and then you create like a hole through it so that it's not completely filled up with material, so it's less material to use when printing. So does anybody have any other questions about what we've done so far? Because now we're basically done with the Hexisphericon.
Can you just go over what you just did? I'm having some internet issues.
All right, so basically what I just did was I went in and then chamfered all the sides of the all the internal like edges of the cut we made in the connecting part. So basically how you do that is you just select chamfer and then select the edges you want to do it on, and then you select how much you want to do it, and then I did that for all of the internal like stuff between the connector and the Hexisphericon itself. And then I also just drew another hexagon on the internal connecting part and just use that hexagon to cut a hole through it. So now it's just like, now it just uses less material to print if you were to print it. So does anybody have any other questions? Okay, so somebody still needs help on the fillet step. So I'll just go back here again. So basically what you do after you have the internal sphere is you click on this fillet button, this like 3D fillet button, and then you just click on all of these internal edges. So this, this, and then that, and then make sure to click on all of them. So there's a few I haven't selected, and then you can just like drag the arrow in and then fillet it, like, and then it will smoothen out like that. And then you can do it as much as you want, and then yeah. So does anybody have any other questions? No? Okay, so then moving on, so we're just gonna work on the next one because the next thing is this next one is gonna be quick. So we're just gonna create a new design. So click on the plus button, and then we're gonna save it to the same location you've been saving everything else. And then we're gonna call this a maker coin. So basically what a maker coin is if you've ever been to any competition and you've like handed out your own badges and stuff for your team or something like that, a maker coin is kind of like a similar concept. It's like but for like 3D printing and some building events. Basically, if you ever go to like a maker fair or like a building event, you may have your own like version of your maker coin or your own coin with your own logo on it and stuff. And you can basically hand it out to people so that they can remember you. And also you're just like giving people something, I guess, if they like visit your booth or something. So basically you're just going to save it as a maker coin. And then as usual, we're just going to create a new component and name it just maker coin. I mean, if you have a more complex object with like a bunch of different parts, you have to name, you can name each individual part because that's the whole point of creating multiple components. But we won't need to do that because our thing is still just one part. And then so after we do that, we can do it and then we can create a sketch, and we're just going to create. So really you can have a lot of creativity with how you do this, but I'm just going to show you one way to make a simple maker coin. Basically we're just going to draw half of the if we like slice the center of the coin, we're just going to draw like half of the face of that, and then we're just going to revolve it around. So basically we're going to have the coin's thickness be 5 millimeters, and then we're going to have it come out about 15 millimeters. And then rather than drawing like a boring rectangular coin, we're going to use this arc tool, and then we're going to use tangent arc. And then we can click on this corner. So, and then we can draw like an arc. So we're going to make our arc with a radius of 4 millimeters. And then we're just going to bring it out a little bit. It doesn't really need to be exact. And then we're going to draw another arc from there to this edge. And basically we've created like a face for the coin. And then you can also like drag this around to like adjust this edge a bit, I guess, or go back here and then drag that around to adjust that part of the coin. And then you can draw the rest of the arc again. And basically that just decides how far down it like kind of like divots or whatever you call it.
How do you change between the line and the arc?
So you just go to create, and then you go to arc and then tangent arc. And then you can draw the arc. So just gonna make my arc a bit more. And then there, okay. And then after that, you can click finish sketch, and you just have this one face. And then again, we can use the revolve tool and then revolve it around the center, and we create this coin. And then make sure it goes 360 degrees. So it just revolves fully around and creates an entire coin. And then you can hit enter, and then you have a coin. So the next thing we're gonna do is so last week I told everybody to prepare their own like SVG file or of like a logo of a company. But if you haven't done that, basically you can just go online and search for like SVG files. And then you can also search for like a certain logo, like if you want to do like, it needs to be pretty a simpler design, because if it's too complex, you won't actually be able to ever print it. But for example, you can do an Apple logo SVG file, and then you can basically save the image and use this as your SVG file. And SVG files are basically black and white, or they should be black and white files. And because they're black and white, Fusion can easily just make the black parts like a sketch, and then you can use it to cut into whatever you're making, because and so I already have my file. And then if you save it, if you get like a PNG picture, what you can do is you can go online and search up for like this kind of photo PNG to SVG converter, and then you can like choose your file and import it from your computer. But basically so if you have your SVG file, what we can do now is we can click on insert and then insert SVG. And then we can, and then if this ever pops up, you always want to say capture position, because if you just click continue, it might move your object around a bunch. So just click capture position, and then you can insert the SVG file from your computer. And what I have for today is just a Juventus logo. So of the soccer club Juventus, because it's a very simple logo, and you might need to zoom out a bit for your logo to appear. And so almost certainly your logo is going to be of the wrong size. And also this is also a problem with Autodesk Fusion 360. So if for any text or logos that you import, you're going to probably need to resize it, and you're just going to need to drag it around to align it properly, which is going to be super annoying, because that's also like why Tinkercad is bad and stuff, because you have to drag it around and align it by hand. And there isn't really a better way with Autodesk. So this is probably one of the downsides of using Fusion 360. But basically now we're just going to resize the logo so that it like fits into our the center of our coin. And for different logos, they might be too small or too big, and you're just going to need to like test like different sizes, like to get it like accurate. Okay. So yeah, you're just going to need to play around with the sizes, and then you can drag this square around to drag it into the right spot. And then after you've got it pretty well lined, you can click OK. And as you can see, it just creates a sketch for your logo. And then you can just finish sketch, and then you just have this sketch that you can use to extrude through your coin to create your coin logo. And basically, you can basically import any pretty simple logo and use it for your coin. More complex logos are going to be hard to do, because say if say for example, if I were to change this logo a bit and have like a few connected lines on it, like here and then here, and it has an enclosed space like this, and to say if I were to extrude this through, then the problem with having like an enclosed space in your logo like that is that when you extrude it, you just have this floating object around here, And if you were to 3D print it, you're just gonna print two different things. So it's not very easy to design logos for like 3D applications and stuff, but basically, yeah, you need very, very simple logos for this. Yeah. So does anybody have any questions at this point? No? Okay. So the last thing we can do is we can add some like random other stuff to our coin. So just for fun, so you can just like click on one side and then create a sketch. And then you can, for example, draw some like holding like some cuts into your coin to be able to hold it better, for example. So you can just like create a sketch, and then you can just cut through your coin. And then what you can do is you can go to create and then pattern and then circular pattern again. And then this time, because that's a cut, we can select features again and then select the cut. And then we can just revolve it around the center of the coin. And then we can create some simple like cuts into the coin to make it like better looking aesthetically and also like easier to hold. And then you can change the amount you want to do at random, for example, like 5, and you can create some cuts into your coin and make it look a bit better. So does anybody have any questions at this point? No? Okay, so it's 6:57, so that's going to be it for today. So next week, we're going to continue to go over Autodesk Fusion 360. And then we're also going to go over some other stuff, like how to export files from Autodesk Fusion 360, and then like how to import them onto your slicer for your 3D printer, like Prusa slicer or Cura slicer, for example. So that's what we'll work on next week. So thanks everybody for coming, and see you later.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.